Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Mignot, CEO of the experience agency, D Flash. Each week, I bring on a different business leader who's doing some game-changing things, and this week's episode is no different, as we're all in this very unique time of being inside because of the coronavirus, talking to really incredible business leaders and how they are building and growing and pivoting and changing is so very important. So I'm so excited to have Kristy Wallace, who's the CEO of the Ellevate Network, on the show, and we're going to have a great conversation. Take a listen. Hey, Kristy.
Hey, Laura, how's it going?
Oh, inside. How about you?
The same, although I'm looking outside of a window right now, so that's kind of giving me that brush of figurative fresh air that I was hoping for.
These are things that are very, very much important. Same here. I am looking at a window through a high rise to another high rise because being in the city. But still good to see the sun. So every episode's always starts out the same way, and that will never change. So, Kristy, what was your first job?
My first job was as an analyst in investment banking. And why that is slightly interesting is that I was an English and sociology major in school. I went to a small high school, 64 kids in my graduating class. Did
Wow.
not think about business or spreadsheets, finances. And it just so happened when I was graduating college that a recruiter connected me with a job as an analyst for an investment bank in New York City. And that's what I did. And it sent me on a trajectory that I would have never imagined. Really loved business, loved everything about it, but did not like the lack of innovation and structure. So I quickly pivoted to a startup. And this was back in 2000. So a lot of the time we're going through right now from an economic standpoint was something that I also experienced earlier on in my career. And, I think is uniquely setting me up for trying to navigate what's happening today.
Well, it's interesting because that was the dot-com bubble when in the early 2000s. And it's interesting how we've kind of gone through these unique economic cycles, and now we're about to be in the third one in this century already, and we're only 20 years into it. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a lot of ups and downs, and it's hard for, obviously for workers and for the workforce that, are understanding what this means for them and for their families. And also for business leaders where you're, constantly being asked, what is your vision? What is your plan? Where are you going in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And then there's other impacts that come along that, you have to shift that and be agile and pivot. So, really being a leader during these times is just being resilient and being able to respond to anything that's thrown at you.
So that's, I think resilience is a true key in all of this. So after you're in the startup world, how did you end up getting to create Elevate Network? What was that journey like?
It was all about my network. Honestly, I mean, moving from investment banking into a startup was a friend from college who said, "You have to try this job. You'll love it." It was a sales role. I said, "Absolutely not. I'm not a salesperson." She's like, "Come on, you would be great. You got to do it." I said, "Nope." She said, "Please, Kristy, humor me." And so I did. And I started as a sales assistant for a company called Fault.com. Was there for 9 years through our successful exit. And post-exit was asked to lead our efforts for global expansion. So opening offices in Europe and Asia. Burnt out, as many of us do. And left there to join the founding team of a startup called Zeal. Was in the health and wellness space. So helped grow that business through the initial stages, fundraising, all that great stuff. And then, just kind of wanted something different, wanted something with more meaning, more purpose, something that I could really feel like I was doing something good in this world. And I thought at the time that meant working for a nonprofit. I wasn't sure. So I tapped into my network and did a little listening tour. I talked to people in all different types of roles and different jobs, different sized companies, really wanted to know what I didn't know. I think when we're faced with a career change, it can feel overwhelming because if you don't want to just stay on that same exact path, and many of us now are looking for different industries, different types of companies, different roles, then how do you know what's out there? How do you know what to look for? How do you know what would be a good fit? So I talked to a number of people, learned about B Corps and companies that are for profit but focused on social impact and social good. Got really excited about that. Some of those companies you may have heard of. It's Warby Parker, Ben and Jerry's, Patagonia, Athleta, and happened to speak to someone, a woman, Allie McDonald, who was a network of a network. And in the conversation, she said, "You know what? You should come work for Ellevate." At the time, we were 85 broads, and I was like, and I was a member of the organization. And she said, "I think you would be great here. Sally Krawcheck just acquired the business. Let me introduce you." So she introduced me to Sally, and got an offer on the spot.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, it's, I know I'm making it sound like, oh, it's so easy, but it's not. I mean, it
No,
was,
okay.
so much during that time. Who am I? What do I want to do? And feeling like you're not in control of the decisions happening. But the biggest piece of advice is just, lean on your community. They're able to give you that support and those connections and the advice and the insights, and also just be open to the unexpected opportunities. Because a lot of this, if you had asked me years ago if this is what I would be doing, I would not have even dreamed it.
Well, I think that's the whole point about this is that, like, gone are the days of, so I'm going to get a job, I'll be there for 10 years, go somewhere else and be there for another 10 years, and then repeat that cycle until I retire. It's more like, who do I know and who do I follow up with? And what opportunities sort of come my way because, I'm open to conversations and never close a door, but always leave it a little bit ajar. Because like you hadn't done sales and you were like, okay, I'll do this. I don't want to do it, but I'll do it. And then 9 years later, you're killing the game.
Yeah.
So it really is all about never thinking that everything is settled, but you can always have a door open.
Well, and I find it fascinating too because I'll follow people on social media or see them speaking at events or wherever, and in my mind, I'm like, wow, they've got the coolest job. That's awesome. They must be having so much fun. And then I talk to them, and they're,
Miserable.
yeah, miserable. And they're like, no, it's terrible. I'm so overwhelmed, or I'm so bored. I'm so whatever. And so there's a lot of perceptions and that we put on things if it's a sales role or if it's, specific company or a specific title. And we need to do our due diligence, and talk to people and understand really, if they love the role, why do they love it? Because for someone, it might be, I love the travel. I love, the fast pace. And, you may be thinking in your head, oh my gosh, I would not like that. That's not for me. And it's powerful to be able to, talk to people and hear directly what they value and what resonates with them or what the reality of the situation is so that you're making those informed decisions for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like just talk to people. Like they'll tell you. Like I think oftentimes we see the sort of the Instagram world versus the real world. It's like,
Hmm.
well, everything looks amazing. Look at all this stuff, and then underneath you're like, I am drowning.
Yeah.
Uh, and so it's like it's always key to like have those conversations or those informational chats or just those catch ups. So tell us more about Elevate because now that it's you've taken the helm and it's skyrocketing.
Yeah, I'm just really proud of our team and of what we've been able to do. And I think my background, which was more in digital and tech, coupled with a organization that had been around for 20 plus years, that was kind of like the old school, professional network and building those connections, which are central to us as humans and as beings, that hadn't seen a lot of innovation in a number of years. So we Elevate is a global community of women at work. It's about 150,000 women, cross industry, cross function, cross geography, all career stages. Really believe in the power of that diversity of network. particularly as we think about, how our careers take shape. And like we were saying, it's not that straight line. You're, looking at different industries, looking at different opportunities, really committed to seeing more diversity at all stages of the organization, and not just gender diversity, but across all lines. It's comes to building that community that can be supportive, that can open doors, that can provide that advice, and can do more for each other. And that's something I'm just really proud that we've been able to do, especially during this time of the COVID-19 and what's happening in this world. We've seen how critical a community can be, and we've seen just the impact for leaders getting that type of support that they need, for people who may be displaced workers finding jobs or advice, managers who are trying to understand how to lead through tough times. So what we've been able to do is pivot our 1,000 local events. We're building local community online into a digital space. We've already been doing virtual events for years. So we're doing tons of events right now, building local community, getting senior leaders together, getting managers together. On the flip side, we also have an online peer mentoring program called Squads, which is groups of 6 to 8 women who are meeting for half an hour a week. We've seen 80% have been more confident in their career. 78% were exposed to ideas and innovations they never thought possible. So I think the big story there is, how do you continue to build community during this time? How do you get the support you need? How do you get the opportunities? And Ellevate was made for this. We've been working towards this for years, unknowingly. So just honored to work alongside the people I do and the community we have, and see how quickly they've been resilient in rising up to support one another.
That's awesome. And what's been, how's that been for you all as a company? Because, obviously we all have like, we're kind of on like week 3 of this. Uh, and, we went from like, well, everyone's gonna be a South by Southwest to be like, no, actually I'll be on my couch.
Yeah.
So, how's that been for you all as a company?
It's been tough, although I think we were much better situated for it than others. We already have a number of our workforce that are full-time remote, and there's others that are part-time remote, who work, from home a few days a week. So we had been thinking a lot about best practices. How do you build connections and community? What are the tools and resources we need? What are the communication channels, and what does that look like? So we had a framework with which to tap into when everyone went remote. Things I've learned is, there's variances in schedules depending on your personal situation. Maybe if you have kids at home, maybe if you're someone who needs to get out and be active, every hour, every few hours. So how do we be flexible to that and be understanding and supportive of that? I've also learned it can feel like an overwhelm of meetings throughout the day,
Mhm.
and you're just going from one Zoom call to the next. And are they really achieving the objective? Do you need that an hour? Are there ways to streamline things? Realized that it is, hard to be in contact with everyone. And by that I mean, I used to in the kitchen have conversations with people within the organization that I loved, and hearing about their weddings or their weekends or what was happening in their lives. And I've come to realize over the past couple of weeks that some of those conversations don't happen anymore. Maybe I'm not on enough calls with those individuals, or where there's not enough touch point there. And so it's figuring out, how do you build in those organic, authentic conversations in this digital space that feels so structured and planned. And I've been trying to just pick up the phone and call people, or send them a quick note or a quick message. You have to be intentional about who is not, who's not getting that time with you. And that's not just as a leader, that's as anybody. Those relationships we spend a lot of time building. Don't let them fall to the wayside. Make sure you're staying in touch with people and you're supporting them.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny, like there's I saw a meme yesterday. It's like this Zoom call could have been an email, and so and that like indicates that like it's trying to find this balance because like I find myself now too being on like 4 Zoom calls in a day. And I'm like, wait, what did I know? Like, and they're
Yeah.
back to back, and they're back to back to back. But I also find that like I have picked up the phone more to call people. Like normally, if it's friends at birthday, I send them a text or I send them an e-card, and like now I'm like calling to sing them happy birthday because one, I want to hear their voice, and two, I know that we're not going to celebrate your birthday today or this weekend, and so like what can we do to sort of still get those like funny like little off moments together to connect with each other that we would have in person, or those glances when you're seeing someone in person versus you know having these digital connections. So it is trying to find this like really uh, unique balance.
Yeah, I mean, we worked it into our lives in so many ways. I mean, you and I both live in New York. I would be walking to the subway and I'd give someone a quick call, or I'd bump into someone in the hallway, or at an event, in-person event where maybe you're seeing a number of people. Whatever those touch points were, I think they were so integrated into other acts that we were doing, if it's commuting or attending some bigger event or whatever it was, and we took it for granted. And now when all those variables aren't there, and it's really just about the variable of how you communicate and connect with others, it becomes much more prevalent, just how much work you need to put into it, and how there's various ways to do it, and it doesn't have to be an hour-long Zoom call. It can be that quick, you know, 3-minute, "Hey, how you doing?" as you're waiting for the microwave to heat up.
Yes. Literally, that's what it is. It's like, hey, what's up? Are you doing okay? Good. All right, cool. Talk soon. Bye.
Yeah.
I it's really not that difficult, and just to say like, hi, how are you, like I think, and I think folks, there's like all these different like, oh well, does okay really mean okay, and should you dig deeper, and I'm like, sometimes okay is just okay. Like, we don't have to dive 11,000 degrees deeper on this. Like, we all know this is weird. We all know this is
Yeah.
highly unusual, super stressful. Like, no one's business is like, well, we're just swimming along right now. Like, everyone's business is like, what the heck am I going to do? And so when people say, like, yeah, okay can just be okay, but thank you for checking. And I think I've been really heartened by the randomness of people who checked in has
Mhm.
been quite a delight. And I'm like, wow, really? Um, and I've also found like, I'm deliberately only posting things that are funny on Facebook, or
Mhm.
like a a useful resource, but mostly funny things because I'm like, I just want people to laugh at really unique things. And so one of the things I did yesterday was there's a meme going around with the ice cream truck selection of like you have 33 items that you can pick from the ice cream truck, pick one. And so I put it up yesterday, and I think I'm up to like 100 comments from people from around the world, many of whom I haven't spoken to in years, who are picking the ice cream that they would want. And this is all hypothetical. It's just an image. But like you see how people, are looking for ways to sort of connect and to sort of feel, to have that kind of levity in this very, very heavy neck of the woods that we're all going through.
Yeah, and it is also it's uh, it's a wave. I don't know if that's the right analogy, but I have a twin sister and she lives in New Jersey, but further South Jersey, and so as of yet have not been as impacted, and are in a different kind of timeline than we are. And so a few weeks ago, when I was calling her up, freaking out, and she was supporting me, and now she's at the place where I was a week or two ago, and so we're kind of all hitting it at different times, and being able to be the person who is offering advice, or just I know where you're coming from, I'm here to support you, or absolutely just that let's talk about something else, let's laugh at something, let's just enjoy life a little bit, is a critical role to play, because I mean, everyone's processing in overt or, less obvious ways. And I just think some joy is needed right now, and it's so important.
Oh, absolutely. Might I suggest watching Tiger King?
Yes. Yes. I started watching it. I know
Oh my God.
everyone was talking about it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And so it's my nighttime thing, and I love it. It's just,
How far
highly,
are we gone?
I want to say we're about 4 or 5 episodes in. We just finished the episode. It was Carol's the woman's name, right?
Yes, Carol Baskin.
Yes. We just finished the whole episode where they talked about her
Killing your
first
husband.
husband. Yes. Yeah. I
Okay.
don't want
Oh,
to
yeah.
give anything away to someone who may have not have listened to it, but that's where we are.
If you've been on the internet, you know that Carol Baskin killed her husband. So that's totally fine. If you're on episode 4, if you've just gotten there, whoa boy, it gets hella dark, and then you're like, what?
Yeah. I may have to just, close all the blinds and convince the kids it's bedtime at 5 o'clock tonight so I can binge watch for a while. But it's great. But you need that, right? I mean, we all need that
Exactly.
escape from day to day, and from what's happening outside of our homes. And it's entertainment. I mean, I just finished up Miss Maisel, which I had completely, not finished. And it's time for me too, where I can kind of just chill and decompress.
Yeah, you have to I've been working out every day, and I'm in a workout accountability group, and I'm like, how did I become this person? But I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it. But
I
yes,
mean,
you got to.
tell me more. What is a workout accountability group, and how did you find that?
So one of my best friends does Beachbody on Demand, and so basically she's a coach. So you pay for the classes online, and you just have a gazillion different exercises all taught by these different coaches. Some of the famous ones like Shaun T and all those folks. And then you're in a group, and then you have a sort of goal you have to get to in 60 days. So we started this before this all happened in February, because I was working out because my birthday was coming up and I was hitting a new decade. So I was like, I want to get the best shape of my life. So I joined the group with her. And so, each morning she sends a note and says did you do your workout today? And it's one of those things where if it was anybody else, I really wouldn't care that someone's asking me if I worked out today. But it's been your friend for 20 odd years. You will feel like, I have to do this because I'm going to let her down. And then so there's 8 of us in this group. We each post the workout. We post a selfie of us actually doing the workout, meaning you can't fake it because you put on workout clothes. So and you kind of had to do it. And then if you don't do it, she dings you. And this is my friend who's the most relaxed, chill. If she lived in California, she'd fit right in type of person. But if you don't do it, she sends you the most obnoxious meme and text message and calls you out in the group. And you're like, okay, I don't want that, so I will do it. So I've been doing that every day because at 8 a.m. I get this text from Tiff. All right, fine, I'll go do it. So it's actually worked for me. It's been, and you can do yoga, you can do cardio training, you can do Pilates, all stuff you can do from your house. So just need a yoga mat. Or you don't need those resistant bands or any of that kind of weights. If you have them, great, but you don't need them. And then you just figure out which program that you want to do. So I'm doing the Lift 4 program now, which is better weight training because I have zero upper body strength. And it's I feel good after a half an hour because they're all half an hour workouts. Nothing is a long time. It's half an hour. So anyone can do that.
That is excellent. I've been trying to figure it out. And one of my friends is a Pilates instructor. So she started doing virtual sessions, and that's kind of been fun because my friends are on it. So
right.
It feels like I'm hanging out with friends and working out. And so I'm just do it like double impact of my time, which I don't know, sounds bad to say that way, but there's only so many happy hours you can do, right? So at least
Exactly. This
this
is
year
something
we're like,
else.
okay, we're working out and doing it, but that's my goal. I really actually want to use this time to take care of my health too, especially because realize living in the city how much I'm moving around throughout the day and walking and commuting and doing different things, and that's not happening here in my house. So I need to do something to step it up a little bit.
Exactly. You realize that, like, on a daily basis, how many steps do you take? Probably like 15,000 because you're just walking around Manhattan
Hmm.
versus how many times can I walk around my apartment? Like,
Yep.
it's just not a ton of space. But yeah, and also, like, yeah, the same thing with me. It's like, getting a text from her. It's also, I get a text from one of my dearest friends every day. And
Hmm.
so, and then we end up chatting about some other foolishness. And then, and or talking about the stuff in our apartments when she sees the selfie. She's like, where did you get that mat? And I'm like, oh yeah, Target. So yeah, I think it's however we can connect and how we can feel good about ourselves is just key.
Yeah.
So, going through all of the things that you've gone throughout your career, especially this kind of quirky time right now, what would you tell 25-year-old Kristy?
Um, I would say to uh, own your ideas and to think bigger than you are. And so you know, uh, with think bigger than you are. So for the longest time, I was like, when I grow up or when I'm older, I want to be a COO, a chief operating officer. And the reason for that was because I never thought I could be a CEO, and I can be, and I am. And I just didn't think of myself as being that, top level to what I wanted to be at the time. So just shoot bigger than you are. And then own your success, own your ideas. I can't tell you how many times I would be in a meeting, and I was on an executive team earlier on, pretty early in my career, and I would sit there in a meeting and then go back to my desk and send my boss a note with like all these ideas. And I wouldn't speak up, I wouldn't own it, I wouldn't have that confidence in them. And so he eventually just said, I'm not reading these emails anymore. You've got great ideas. You need to speak up. And I'm very thankful that he did that and that he said that. Not all of us have that person who can support you in that way and really challenge you in that way. So just my advice is, we all are at that table because we're contributing something, and own it, and be proud of your ideas and your thoughts and what you're bringing to the conversation.
Absolutely. It's like, I think we oftentimes forget that, like, we're pretty awesome, and we have to like shout that from the rooftops from time to time because
Yeah.
it's true.
Well, that's also like, let's support each other more too. I mean, I've seen it in meetings that I've been in where someone isn't speaking up, or feels a little bit hesitant, doesn't think that maybe they're contributing something, and I know that they are. So I've then really made it a priority for myself to call that out with others and be like, you've got great insights, please share. Like, what do you think? How do you think we should manage this? We just can do better always by supporting that person who maybe was our 25-year-old self, or reminds us of them, or doesn't, anyone whose voice isn't being heard, that we want to ensure that we can encourage them to speak up and to speak louder.
Really awesome advice. So, what do you do for your self care now that you've gotten, you know, your home, your company is actually in a really good position to be successful from a virtual side of the universe? How is Christy taking care of Christy?
Well, I have found, so something that I was doing pre COVID-19, is I walked a lot. Like, I'm a very internal person. I have whole dialogues going on in my head at various times throughout the day, and I need space to kind of let them let those conversations happening and let these ideas come to ferment, come to fruition. And I used to walk a lot. I would walk to the train, I'd walk around the city. It was a good time to disconnect. And so that's something I haven't been able to have here, and that's been really hard. And I realized that pretty early in, during this time period where I just felt like there was no time for myself. I was moving from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and me time was missing. So now I'm just trying to, set boundaries, to prioritize that, to put myself first, to be very upfront when I need that time. I have 3 kids at home, so one thing that I was doing is just, my husband would go put the kids to bed, and I would spend the time downstairs by myself, watching a show or just reading a book, or just kind of chilling. I think mindfulness is really important, and I need to get back into it. I'd meditated for a long time, and that's also sort of fallen to the wayside here. But I've been trying to be really intentional about deep breaths, and just kind of being more in tune with myself throughout the day. It's hard when you're sitting in a chair, and chances are it's a pretty crappy chair, especially if you're home, and just, on the computer for hours on end, and you just realize that you're not in tune to your body until you're go to stand up, and everything's creaking and hurting and uncomfortable. So I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm just trying to make the time for myself, and focus on, breathing and mindfulness and moving.
Awesome. The best thing I ever did was buy a really awesome office chair, not realizing I need it till 3 years later. Um, um,
I am incredibly jealous.
I got one from Steelcase, and it is the greatest chair of all time. Um, I'll send you a link, and like you might be able to find it somewhere. Not that they make that one anymore, but it's like the most comfortable chair and gives you that arch support you need. Because oh my god, sitting down on the couch. Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, when you're just working from home, if you're someone who typically works in an office and you work from home for, a day a week or whatever that cadence is, the couch can be fine. But suddenly, once you're sitting there for hours on end every day, you realize you need some support.
Yeah, this couch was not made for my butt for 6 hours. No. So the last thing we do is, I brought this back for this series of episodes as well. Is do you have a give or an ask to the audience?
Yeah. So my give is always just my network. I believe very deeply in networking. I've gotten so many opportunities through that. And so if there's something you need, a connection you need, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Let me know. You can see who my contacts are. But it's just, there's too many people in this world that are missing out on opportunities because someone's not, helping to open those doors. And I want to be the person who will always help to open the door if I can. And my ask is, check out Ellevate Network. It's a great organization. It's something I'm really proud of. We're doing good work, especially during this time. So I'd love for you to check us out. We have a number of webinars and other great, great things happening that are relevant to women in the workplace and beyond.
Awesome. We'll put all the details about Elevate in the show notes so folks can find you, follow you guys, and check out Elevate.
Okay.
Kristy, it was such a delight to have you on the show. You're just chock full of wisdom and goodness. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Laura. This was wonderful. It was like the perfect middle point of my day to get to hang out with you.
Awesome. That's so lovely to hear. And so that is our show.